Okay, guys, here we are. We're about to enjoy this awesome masterpiece. This beautiful work of art is full of truth and grace and truth. First of all, I want to say good job, guys, on the screensaver. I appreciate the lava lamp effect you got going there. That's honestly pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. And by the way, like, you put Moroni there with all this cool lava lamp stuff behind him. I've honestly never seen that vibe before. And I can definitely testify that that is not necessarily a vibe of the church. However, it is pretty cool. It's just a shame that you are posting this up as if this is like, oh my gosh, like, this is leaving a really bad taste in my mouth already. Right from the beginning. So you see, look how, oh yeah, this is what I was telling you before, look. Who they are, period. What they believe, period. Like, you don't need to put periods in there, guys. Like, just, you know, come on. Just frame it differently, right? Am I right? Come on. So, sorry my TV looks a little funky. That's just how it looks when you film on a phone here. But, alright, we're going to see how far we can get, because this is not honestly going to go very far. I don't have the ability to take this in, because it's so freaking chaotic and insane. I don't know if I can contain myself, but we're gonna try anyway. Let's go to session 1. All right. Oh shoot. Oh shoot. All right. Serious music.
I actually grew up a Christian, I would say.
Dr. Lynn Wilder, okay? First of all, she's a #1. She's like one of the she's an anti-Mormon. She's an ex-Mormon and an anti-Mormon. She still does stuff. I think this DVD, horrible place to pause the video, but this DVD I think came out in like 2012 or so, because I've seen her recently and she's a lot older now, and she's like, she sounds horrible. She sounds like a really horribly sounding old lady, and like it just, you just have to kind of see it. But anyway, let's take a look at here and see what this says here. You know, obviously former professor, Brigham Young University. So this lady was a former professor at Brigham Young. Keep that in mind. And now listen to what she says, okay?
Phenomenal.
Okay, let's take this back here. All right, see what she says.
I actually grew up a Christian, I would say nominal Christian, went to church every week, but never cracked open the Bible and really didn't know much about my faith.
All right, oh yeah, here we go. Here. You guys, I don't know if you ever saw the Terminator start to approach in a movie that is going to just scare the crap out of you because it's the freaking Terminator and he kills everything in his path. Well, these guys here, I want you guys to realize these guys are actually worse than the Terminator, because they don't even need weapons. Actually, the only weapons they need is the one in their hands. Those are the real weapons. No, seriously, watch how horrible they make these poor missionaries look. Look at this. Look at them. Look at the light. Look at this.
1977.
Look at this.
I was teaching school.
Oh my gosh.
My husband was home.
She's like, I was teaching school. My husband was at home. She's telling the story of when the missionaries attacked her.
During the day, 2 Mormon missionaries knocked on her door and he let them in.
Oh my gosh. You hear how she said that? Listen to how she said that, right? Listen to how she said that. Listen to how she says this. Listen.
Not only did he let them in.
Watch.
My husband
And
was home
he
during
let
the
them
day.
in.
2 Mormon missionaries knocked on her door and he let them in.
He let them in. See, it's the worst thing ever, right?
He let them in. He was kind
Not only did he let them in,
of enamored with them.
he was kind of enamored with them. Now, I want you to take a moment and observe these guys' faces, because while that name tag looks legit, because it does, right off the bat, but the top of it doesn't. You can tell it's fake from the top. The top is fake. I want you guys to look at these. I want you to look at these two guys in the face, and I want you to ask yourself a question, which we all know the answer to. Do you think those are really missionaries? I mean, of course not, right? This is a DVD that's made by Anti-Mormons. Of course those aren't missionaries, right? So the real question is, who are they? They're actors, right? Well, did you catch what they said? Listen to what they said. Listen to what they say. That we're missionaries for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Did they say that?
He was
No, they didn't.
enamored with them.
We're here with the Church of Latter-day Saints.
We're here with the Church of Latter-day Saints. Points to his name. That's so not legit. Look at the way he's standing. Look at the way that guy's smiling. That is not normal. That's so not normal. This is so not normal. These are not missionaries.
We invited them back twice a week for about 10 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's good. You should have.
The Mormon missionaries said they believed in the Bible, but the Book of Mormon was a companion book, and they kept giving us assignments to read from the Book of Mormon.
Yeah, it's called, that's how you keep people interested. That's how you keep people committed. You don't want to just be like, oh, well, if you really care about something, you don't want to just show up and be like, oh yeah, well, here's our book. It means everything. It's literally another testament of Jesus Christ. It's actually historically accurate, and it's sacred, and it's miraculously kept and translated. And it's a miracle we even have this today, and here it is. You don't just be like, oh yeah, here this is, and just be like, yeah, you can read it when you feel like it. So, yeah, I'll catch you later. Hey, do you know where where the freeway is? Or, no, you don't do that. You set up messages, you set up lessons, you set up things because you want to share the gospel, because it's the best. It's the best thing ever. It's too good. That's why you have to take care of it. That's why you set up appointments with people.
And at the end of that 10 weeks, they, out of the Book of Mormon, gave us a challenge to go to our knees and pray about whether the Book of Mormon was true.
Right. Did you hear how she said, did you hear how she ended that? Did you hear her cadence at the end? How it just goes down, because she's saying, this is what they did, but it was wrong. See, right. Listen.
10 weeks. They, out of the Book of Mormon, gave us a challenge to go to our knees and pray about whether the Book of Mormon was true.
Yeah.
We were expected to get a burning in the bosom that
You were expected. I don't think I don't believe that.
Confirmed to us that Mormonism was true. My husband did have a spiritual experience, and then we both joined the church.
Yeah. As you should have. Oh, it was in the 70s. Look, it was in the 70s or 80s.
Church, I stood in front of the congregation.
Yeah.
Bawling.
Yeah.
And bore testimony that I knew.
Right.
First of all, that Joseph Smith was a prophet of God.
Which he is.
He had restored the Lord's only true church on the face of the earth.
Which he did.
I knew that the Book of Mormon was true, that Joseph Smith had brought
and you still do, deep down,
to the earth, and that it was the most correct book on the face of the earth.
Yes, and it is.
I knew that the Mormon church had a living prophet at the head.
Right.
And that prophet spoke for God.
Yes, because he
and
does.
I knew that Jesus Christ was my Savior.
Yes. Now think about that. You said all those things and you knew those things. Now, Lynn Wilder, I don't know if you've taken time to actually think or ponder about those things, but if you take time to think about those things, I would just ask a simple question. Are those things good or not, right? And of course, I know your answer, and you've already chosen that they're not good, but those things are... that, can you literally think about that for a second? All you guys, all my member friends on here watching this, what a blessing, right? Just this lady has a testimony of all those things. What a blessing, right? That's amazing. And you know what? I'm going to tell you right now, one of these days, Lynn Wilder's going to come around. She can come around back to the church, She's just on a bad course for a while.
And that the Mormon church was his church.
It is. It's his true restored church. Now look at how they made the temple look here. They make it look like spooky Transylvania. Look at the creepy music. Creepy music. Look at this. Look how creepy this is. Creepy.
At the time that Joseph Smith was born in America, he was born in 1805 in Vermont.
Okay, let's take a moment to look at this guy's credentials real quick, provided by this awesome DVD. Art Vanek, researcher and author. Okay, he is a researcher. Well, I think anyone in this freaking world could claim to be a researcher and not lie or have to prove it. I think it's a pretty easy thing to just be a researcher, right? I mean, come on, give me a break. Researcher and author. Why doesn't? Come on, give me a break.
He was part of a whole group that were kind of into the mystic, into the supernatural, into the occult. And
All right, right off the bat, they say that because they want to make him sound bad, right? They want to cast any doubts upon him that they possibly can. This guy was into some fishy things. How could you trust him? He was just a lying, deceptive treasure hunter that played with the occult.
and so
What a
when
joke.
he and his family moved over into upstate New York a few years later, he and his family were basically swallowed up into the Second Great Awakening, which was a time of revival in the United States.
But during this same period, the Smiths were very much involved in magic money digging.
All right, descendant of Brigham Young, utlm.org. Okay, that's an anti-Mormon site. You can just be sure of that.
Where they would use a magic stone or some sort of magic device like a divining rod to look for buried treasure.
For most of it, he used a seer stone, and he would put that into a hat.
Listen to the horrible music playing. You're so
And
cosmic.
some others claimed that they could find buried treasure, and they charged a fair amount.
This is a
of money
horrible
over
start
the
to this
years.
video. This is the worst way to
There were a lot of
start.
rumors at the time that Captain Kidd or some pirate could have hid treasure in the area, so a lot of people
Come on, give me
were
a break.
looking for these buried treasures.
Give me a break.
Unfortunately, they never found any treasure. And in 1826, all of that caught up to them, and Joseph Smith was actually taken to court and was found guilty of something that was called glass looking. And glass looking refers to literally looking into a seer stone with the intent of finding buried treasure.
Many revivals were going through the whole New York, New England area.
It was a time of extreme religious excitement. People dancing, people throwing their hands up in the air, singing, chanting, seeing visions.
Yeah, it was.
Charmers,
That's
the
very
whole
true.
bit. And Smith's mother wholly bought into that. And she had it in her mind that at some future date, one of her sons would become a prophet. And so that's the environment.
Couldn't she just have known that? And being that that's... Well, okay, first of all, let's take a second. Okay, guy looks like he has an orb on his face. Okay, so she believed that one of her children would be a prophet. Okay, well, first of all, she was right. So let's take a break and think about that. So she was right, first of all. But notice the way he's framing this, right? He's making this look like she was just caught up in a religious fervor. She didn't know any better. She was believing snake charmers and voodoo whisperers. She thought her son was going to become a prophet. You know, it's so ridiculous.
Joseph Smith grew up in.
It's so disingenuous.
Joseph Smith claimed that in the spring of 1820, he went out.
Okay, first of all, lady, why are you yelling? Did you hear that? Let me ask you that question. Did you notice that too? Let's go back and listen to her from the beginning, because that lady burst on the scene in the beautiful, peaceful, sacred grove, and she was literally yelling.
Grew up in.
Listen to this lady start yelling. Watch. Look how peaceful it is.
Joseph Smith claimed that
Right.
in the spring of 1820, he went out into the woods nearby the home to pray.
How about it
to ask
actually
God,
happened?
For direction, what church to join.
Yeah, he did.
He claimed
He did.
that God and Jesus appeared to him as
They
two
did.
totally separate people
They did.
with actual physical bodies.
Duh, because they
And-
do have actual physical bodies. Why wouldn't they? Think about that. Why wouldn't they have physical bodies? She says that as if it's so absurd. They actually had physical bodies. Can you believe they had actual physical bodies? Well, what do you think they had? A freaking cloak? What do you think they were? A stick? No, of course. What do you think they were? The breeze? This emotional, imaginary, bodiless, like invisible spirit? No, they have bodies.
That God told him not to join any church, that they were all an abomination in God's sight.
Right,
All their
which
creeds
they are.
were an abomination, and that
They
God
were
had
and
work for
are.
Joseph Smith to do.
Yeah, and he did and does.
And so in the Sacred Grove experience that he had in
Oh, shoot, look at this guy. He is an ex-Mormon temple worker. Let me ask you a question. Look at this guy's face. Okay? Does that look like a happy guy? I would say absolutely. He looks so happy to be alive, right? Like, look at the joy in his eyes. Look at the life in his eyes, right? No, he's not happy. You know why? Because he knew the truth and he is now casting doubt and aspersions and making fun of it. And he's preaching lies now. He was a temple worker and now he's doing this crap. No wonder he looks so miserable.
In 1820, the current prophets told us today that this is the foundation of our religion. If this is wrong, then our foundation is incorrect. Because without that, we have no authority coming from heaven to tell Joseph that all the man-made religions are incorrect.
Right around 1823, Joseph Smith was again praying in his room this time instead of out in the forest.
Yes.
And in response to
Hey,
his
look at that
fervent
artwork.
prayer,
Nice artwork.
an angel appeared in his room.
Beautiful artwork,
and he
baby.
told Joseph that his
The angel
name
totally did. It's
was
Moroni.
Moroni.
Duh, Moroni.
He was
Duh.
sent by God
Yes, he
to
was.
tell Joseph
Yes.
that God had a work for him to do.
Yes, absolutely.
And that he was to go to a location
Yes.
to find a sacred book
That's
written
right.
on golden plates.
That is freaking
Moroni
right.
would have been the last person in the story of the Book of Mormon, the last man to engrave on the plates.
So this lady is sitting in a calm environment, right? This is being professionally recorded and filmed. And she's sitting next to this like amazing, beautiful, divine picture, right? They just had to put in there for like artsiness, right? To up the quality here, to up the aesthetic, right? This beautiful vase that looks like it's I don't know what the heck that thing is. And she's sitting here in the seemingly quiet environment, yet she feels the need to yell. And I want you to focus on that because that's what happens. That's what these people do. That's what they do. They know they're not telling the truth on some point, on some level, and so it doesn't come naturally, and so they have to yell.
That then hid the plates away in a stone box in a hill by Joseph Smith's house. So Moroni at this point is a deceased person that they claim had now become an angel that told him where the plates were buried.
Duh. He was the guy who wrote on all the plates, basically.
And so within a couple of days of Moroni visiting him, he goes out into the forest, and sure enough, he finds this hillside now known as the Hill Cumorah. He goes into
beautiful
it, and
freaking
he discovers
art. Look at
a
this.
stone
I haven't
box.
seen this
He
picture
uses
before. That's a
lever
beautiful
to lift
picture.
open the box.
Beautiful picture.
And inside is the book made out of golden plates. However, even though it's there, he cannot take it for another 4 years.
Right.
And so every year at the autumnal equinox, he goes out, he checks in with the angel Moroni, and finally in 1827, 4 years later after the initial visit, the angel Moroni allows him to take the book.
Yep.
The Urim and Thummim, which...
There's so much spirit in this, it's not even funny, because this is the truth. They're actually telling the truth. But it's contradicting their actual attempt. They're trying to make it sound so horrible, but they're telling the truth. So because they're telling the truth, the spirit's there.
Were a special set of glasses that were called...
Like if it wasn't for the stupid ambiance music in the background, like... this would be awesome. They're telling the truth.
That Joseph Smith,
and if it wasn't also for their doubtful cadence,
would use to translate these golden plates out of a language called Reformed Egyptian into English, and there was also a breastplate in there, and I believe a sword.
He describes them as being 6 by 6 by 8 rectangular plates of metal
quality
in a stack that were held together by 3 rings.
Look at that quality, baby.
So we're talking sheets of metal here that are stacked up.
Duh,
so
we
Joseph
get it.
takes all of these treasures back to his house, and he hides them. Actually, he hides them in a number of places.
Duh, because he was charged with them. It was a total responsibility, the biggest responsibility anyone could have. Of course he hid them. Why is this so crazy? He hid them. What a crazy thing. He found them and then he hid them. Why did he hide them? Because they were sacred.
In his history, he claims that...
You don't just shove and be like, look guys, look what I found. It's from God. No. When you're told not to do that, that's not what you do.
That people are constantly trying to steal the plates from him.
Duh,
now,
they were.
This record supposedly
because
was
it's
written
sacred.
It says in the Book of Mormon, it was written in the language of our fathers, which would
Right.
mean, we assume, the language of the Hebrews, but in Reformed Egyptian.
Reformed Egyptian,
And
right.
the reason for it being in
Either
Reformed
way, it doesn't matter.
Egyptian was supposedly
It doesn't
that
matter.
it took less space than writing
I mean, it
it
does.
in Hebrew.
Don't get me
Which
wrong.
wouldn't really make sense because Hebrew would have been.
Oh yeah, this lady,
shorter.
obviously this lady knows what she's talking about. She knows everything about what she's saying. Everything she says is right? Because she definitely knows, right?
Language than Egyptian.
If you don't trust this lady,
but that's the claim.
How could you not trust this lady?
Joseph decided to say it was written in Reformed Egyptian that no one could read, to explain why he alone had the gift to translate it, and it wouldn't be taken to scholars to translate. It was a hidden, secret, changed language that only God could tell you how to translate it.
And so, starting in
Make it sound so
1827,
sketchy.
he starts translating the plates. Now, this is interesting because instead of using the Urim and Thummim to do the translation, he actually uses the seer stone.
Yeah.
Once again, in the hat.
This is the actual
And
seer
the other
stone.
part of it
Maybe
that
it
is
is.
so
Who knows?
interesting is that the golden plates are nowhere in the room. They're not.
Okay, look, let me explain something to you. It doesn't matter how the plates were translated, because if you read the Book of Mormon, you can tell this was not made up. It will testify to you, the Spirit of God will testify to you that it's true, because it is true. It doesn't matter how it's translated. It's translated correctly. You can believe that. If you read it, you'll know it. You will just know it.
On the table, they're not in another portion of the room. In many times, they're not even in the house.
Yeah, and?
So really, he's not translating them. It's as if the seer stone
It's not even like he's translating them. Oh wow, thanks buddy. You've shed some brilliant light on everything, haven't you?
is feeding the text to Joseph in English.
Let me ask you a question, buddy. Have you read the Book of Mormon? Like, seriously? And have you asked God if it's true? Like, with real intent? Did you try?
That he then recites out loud for the different scribes to then write down as the Book of Mormon.
After Joseph Smith was finished with them, he gave them back to the angel Moroni, and the angel Moroni took them at that point.
When you look at the Book of Mormon, you will see that much of the Book of Mormon contains...
It's hard to focus on what they're saying because of how ridiculous what they're actually saying is. Not the truth that they're telling, but the lie that they're telling. They are saying that this is all a lie. They're saying it's all untrue.
Copied phrases out of the Bible. There's chapters out of Isaiah. There are a lot of stories in the Book of Mormon that would sound like Bible stories. There was a lot of speculation at the day that the American Indians were from the Lost Tribes of Israel. So I think Joseph Smith just collected bits and pieces from everywhere.
The Book of Mormon
was
written supposedly to show how God also had the American Indian in mind in terms of his long-range plans.
Duh.
And for this reason, we have the...
Because he did. Because why wouldn't he? Give me a break, people.
Account of the lost tribes of Israel sailing across the Atlantic, 600 BC or so, and they landed in the Americas.
We got a doctor
and
here.
split into...
Dr. Paul Meyer. Now this guy really knows what he's talking about. You know why? Because he's sitting in his office. He's got a nice tie on. It's not tied very well, but he does have a nice tie on, right? He's got his hands in a studious posture, and he is a doctor, somehow associated with Western Michigan University.
The two groups, the goods and the bads, you might say.
The righteous people were the Nephites, and the unrighteous people were called the Lamanites.
Yeah, see how he stuttered there a little bit? Because he was actually telling the truth. And the truth is like hurting him because it's exposing his fallacies.
Americas and split into two groups. The
Watch what he
goods and
says
the
again.
bads, you might say.
Watch this guy. Watch how he says it. Watch really closely.
The righteous people were the Nephites, and...
See, he knows it's true. He knows it's true.
The unrighteous people were called the Lamanites.
Yeah, he knows it's true. It's true.
And the Lamanites and
Lamanites.
the Nephites fought.
And Nephite. See, do you really have this guy on here? He's literally going to say Lamanites and Nephites. You really have him. He's your most credible source. Give me a break. See how weak they are, guys? See how weak they are? This is what they're using, guys. Like, I want you to think about this for a second. This is their best strategy. The Mormons, who they are, what they believe. And they got this guy on here calling them Nephites and Lamanites. Give me a break.
Many different battles.
Nephites.
And they had peace for a while. And finally, the Lamanites were cursed by God because they were evil.
So this is what...
They weren't cursed by God because they were evil. They were cursed like that. Not like the way he said it. They were cursed by God because they were doing evil. They had become evil. Don't you get it? You do bad things. What did he do with Noah and the ark? What did he do with everybody else on the earth? He flooded the whole freaking place. He killed everybody because they were so wicked. Same thing.
It states in the Book of Mormon. It states this: wherefore, as they were white and exceedingly fair and delightsome, this is the Lamanites, that they may not be enticing unto the people, the Lord God did cause a skin of blackness to come upon them. And
yeah.
So he separated the people. So the righteous people, the Nephites, were white, and the Lamanites, which were cursed, were the dark-skinned people.
Tragically, the Nephites were defeated by the...
I cringe so hard every time this guy says Nephites. I'm really struggling here to get through this.
Lamanites, and the result was the Lamanites being the only brand
What the frick
left
picture is this
when
of?
Columbus discovered America.
Oh, Columbus.
The
Okay.
people of the Lamanites became part of the darkest skinned races in America, the Indians, the people in South America and Central America.
One of the problems for the Book of Mormon is that all of the...
See, look, she can't... Look how much trouble she's having saying this. She's going to say, there's a problem with the Book of Mormon, and I'm going to tell you about it. But watch how she struggles. Watch. Look at this.
Indians, the people in South America and Central America.
One of the problems for the Book of Mormon is that all of the information about the society of the Book of Mormon peoples doesn't fit what we do know about the American Indian.
Seriously.
And this is a problem for the Mormon Church.
That's a problem for the Mormon Church. Yeah. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. These people use what they know, what they think they know about things, and they say, well, this is a problem because it doesn't line up with what we understand.
They don't have any artifacts.
Yeah, it's called
they don't
new
have
stuff.
Any maps.
You ever learned new stuff before?
They don't have any sample of the writings that have come from a source other than Joseph Smith.
There's freaking artifacts being found all over the place.
So they're faced with this problem of...
Look up Wayne May. Look up Wayne May on YouTube. Listen, type Wayne May, Book of Mormon. Look it up. Look him up. He'll show you some daggone good artifacts. Boat anchors. They had boats back then. Yes, they did have horses. Yes, they did. They had metal. They had copper swords and scimitars. They had brass head plates, etc. How did they not have it when people have found it? This stuff's real. It's been found.
Not even knowing a location for the story. If you look in any Book of Mormon, there's no map in it. They can't...
There's no map in it. How can we figure things out if there's no map? You mean they could carve letters, but they couldn't draw a map? You gotta be kidding. Give me a break.
Agree whether it all happened up.
She's literally saying, because there's no map, that means there's problems. We don't have a map, so that means that everything doesn't make sense. There's no map. That's what she's saying. There's no map. Give me a break.
Up in the northeastern part of the United States.
You need a nap. That's what it is. Don't think about the map. Just take a nap.
Over all of North and South America, or just amongst the Mayan. And you will find Mormons.
Listen to the music. It's like so deep.
Scholars that argue for all different places for the story, which tells me there's no artifact. There's no sample.
Oh, it tells her.
It
tells her. Well,
starting point.
It's good to know that she's done all the work that she needs to do. So apparently she's done all the work that she'll ever need to do. She's totally good, right? She's done all the work. Look at those hard, studious eyes. Look how hard she's worked for so long. I have worked so hard for so long to figure this all out. And because there's no map, I just can't believe that there are any artifacts. Give me a break.
If indeed these are lost tribes of
Okay, here comes the Nephite man.
Israel, well, then there ought to be some DNA similarity between the Indian stock.
Yeah, see, do you notice a trend here? These guys are saying, well, because we don't have this proof, because we don't have this evidence, the scientific proof, we don't have it. Now, I want you guys to think about this. Why are they using all of this? Isn't it about faith? Aren't these people Christians? I guarantee you. I don't know what this dude is, but apparently all the other ones are claiming to be Christians, basically. Guarantee you. And aren't Christians supposed to have faith? Right? So why are you asking for proof? Isn't Thomas the Doubter the one that you guys are supposed to look down on? Isn't he like not the example? So why are you guys being Thomas the Doubter and being like, yeah, that's who we are because this is cool. This is the way you should be. You should always be like Thomas the Doubter. That's what they're all saying. What a joke.
In the Americas and the Semitic stock. Very careful tests have been made.
Oh, yeah. There's been tests done to see if the Book of Mormon was true. We used DNA technology.
Absolutely no correlation, whatever.
Oh.
The Book of Mormon speaks of
that must
having
mean
horses and
that must
elephants,
answer everything.
And we know those weren't here until the Europeans came.
Oh, there weren't elephants? Oh, there weren't really elephants? Are you serious? You sure there weren't elephants? Really? Really? Like, seriously? Really?
Mormon speaks of them raising wheat. We know they didn't have wheat before the Europeans.
Oh, you do? That's so convenient that you know that. Because you seem to know so much, yet you also seem to not know so much. So you have these little things that you think you know, but in the grand scheme of things, the things that you actually know are like nothing. So wait a minute. So you mean to tell me that you are going to sit here and tell us about what the truth is? Meanwhile, you literally don't basically have any of it? Am I getting this wrong here, you guys? You have the answers somehow, yet you don't? You're experts, but you have nothing? What? What is this? You're supposed to be teaching us about faith. This is a Christian Bible study. As the DVD says, this is a Christian Bible study, by the way, guys. But we don't use things like faith in our Bible study. We need hard evidence and scientific proof, DNA proof.
And steel swords that they use in battle are totally foreign to the American Indian.
Oh, they are? Oh, that's why they were found, isn't it? Yeah, you didn't know about that, did you? No, you didn't.
There just was no...
No worries, Leigh. You didn't know that. It's okay, you don't know that, but still, you are absolutely wrong about what you're saying.
Such technology.
There are a lot of things that just...
Look at him. Look how he's using his hands. See, you really got to show your hands sometimes when you're really trying to explain. You see, this guy, he's saying, I'm trying to say something right now, and it's really hard because I'm struggling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my hands like this, you see. And when I do this, it's going to make everything come out better because I don't even know what it is I'm trying to get out, but it's about to come out. It's because I just got to do a little wiggling here with my hands. Got to frame it right. You got to frame it with the hands. Frame it, and then it'll come out right?
Violate...
Oh.
The truth about what was existing here in the Americas at the time of the Book of Mormon peoples.
Oh.
In the early stories of Mormonism, it's taught of the plates as being gold or golden.
Yeah.
Joseph Smith referred to it both ways.
Yeah.
I don't think Joseph had any idea how heavy gold would be. I have a sense.
Once again, this lady is purporting to be an expert. This is their experts, guys. I want you to take a look at their experts.
A model made up to the size, he said, that it's made out of lead, which weighs less than gold, and that weighs 118 pounds.
Yeah.
If his plates to the
what
size
is the
and
problem here? Why can that? Why can they not?
They would have been over 200 pounds.
Why can they not fathom?
It's a problem because, according to his story,
it's such a lie because it's heavier than it would have been. It's heavier. He wouldn't have been able to do this because it's heavy. Oh, yeah, really?
He got the plates out of the hole.
This is literally their argument. They're literally sitting here saying, oh, because it's heavy, that means it's not true. It can't really be metal because it would be too heavy. Give me a break.
So you have this box of plates that he picks up and
this is like their
through the woods with a couple
what do you
of
call
men
it? Trojan
chasing
horse?
them.
This is like
And
their,
there's just no way you could
this is their
run that
prized
far
possession right
carrying,
here. This argument.
Plates
One
of
of them.
gold.
When the Book of Mormon was finally completed,
Uh-oh, we got close up.
interestingly enough,
Okay, good.
Martin Harris, one of the founders of Mormonism, along with...
Oh, he was one of the founders of it? Give me a break. He wasn't one of the founders of it. It's not like we just founded it. Oh, it was just founded. No, no. God and Jesus Christ appeared to him, and he did what they told him to do. And Martin Harris was someone who actually knew and believed that it was true, and he was obedient.
Joseph Smith, the one indeed who had sold part of his farm in order to pay for the printing of the first edition of the Book of Mormon in 1830.
Yeah,
he had asked Joseph Smith if he would be kind enough to jot down some of the characters in the golden plates that he was translating.
Yeah.
And Joseph Smith was kind enough to do that.
Yeah.
And then, without Smith's permission, he sent it to a professor at Columbia University in New York.
Uh-huh.
And he was an Egyptologist.
Professor Anton.
Now, this is before the translation of hieroglyphic because of the Rosetta Stone in 1837.
Oh,
that's going to come 7
almost
years.
That's totally almost a voice crack. Look at him searching there. He's searching. I had some thoughts in here. I'm about to whip out a really good one.
8 years later.
I'm probably gonna have a voice crack somewhere in here though.
And the professor at Columbia University immediately looked at it and said, "This is not Egyptian at all. This is someone's doodling." And at that point, of course, they never used that information in the future because it would discredit these characters in supposed Reformed Egyptian, a language that never existed.
Oh, yeah. It never existed, huh?
Martin Harris was Joseph Smith's second scribe.
Look at this scandalous photo they're using. Making him look like a freaking crazy caveman psycho axe murderer.
She kept pestering him for some
We're gonna stop here soon, guys.
About this book that Martin Harris was
This just goes on and on. Okay, we'll finish it out. Well, 2 minutes.
116 pages. Come home with Harris. His wife looks at it, and according to the most widely publicized
Pretty flowers.
She throws it in the fireplace, burns it all up. In her mind,
she was angry.
If this is truly from God, Joseph Smith will be able to retranslate and come up with the exact same material.
Yeah, she's the arbiter of all truth.
Joseph Smith, always thinking, comes up with a
always
revelation.
Thinking. He's always thinking. Notice how I said Joseph Smith is always thinking as if that's a bad thing.
God.
Well, because he's a crack smoker swindler. No, not crack smoking, but you know.
Saying that because
swindler.
Martin Harris allowed his wife to burn the 116 pages in the fireplace, he was not going to retranslate that material, make it available for the world. Instead, he was going to translate a completely different section altogether.
So he prints the Book of Mormon first, and then a few months later starts his church. The Book of
starts
Mormon
his church? No, it wasn't his church, you moron. Sorry. Don't need to be mean, but seriously, it wasn't his church. It was God's church, and it is God's church, and still is.
Comes the
and will always be.
worm on the hook to get you to accept Mormonism.
Oh yeah, they use it to get you to accept it. Yeah.
Say, well,
what a joke! I mean, they're saying it's a trick. It wasn't a trick.
God spoke to people in the old world.
This is a trick. This whole thing. This is a trick.
Surely he would have spoken to the new world, and that we have the record. And
I'm
so
just
they
like
would give you a book.
I'm just kind of in awe that this is one of their spokespeople. This is one of their credible sources right here.
Mormon, I ask you to pray about it. When you read the Book of Mormon, you would see Bible language, these and nows, like the King James. It would have a lot of Bible verses and phrases. It would sound very similar. So this would give people the impression, wow, this really may be a Christian thing. But if
she's discrediting everyone who's ever read the Book of Mormon by saying that. That is ridiculous. She's actually saying, because people are stupid, they are deceived because it says these and thous in it. That means it's Bible language. That's why people believed it, because it's got that Bible language in it. No, like you didn't think we actually read it? You didn't think we actually read it?
Book of Mormon, you have to accept Joseph Smith as a prophet. And once you accept
he is a prophet.
Him, then you're going to come into their church.
Creepy music. Okay, guys, that's it. All right, stay tuned, bros. We're gonna watch another one again. We're gonna watch another one sometimes. Let's see what this promos is, right? Mormons, regrets, great deceiver, lost books, the journey, promos. Other videos from lhm.org/men. What the frick is this? This is promos. We'll have to look at this. We're gonna have a good old time with this.